All right, here we go. I'm A. Martinez. I'm going to read some poetry for you tonight. Um, First, I want to apologize for my computer is very hot, so it's kind of it's fanning itself right now. And we've also been having a lot of fireworks, so that might also complement the poetry tonight. Um, so, first, because I have a little while to read, I'd like to read a couple of my longer poems tonight. This first one I wrote a long time ago, but it's about my dad and his transition of this world. It's called After. 1. The bed. Your eyes almost wandered. Under flesh, the stomach fermented, gaseous, and taut. Esophagus purple thinning tentacle. A wave of your hand, because you could not speak, whispered raspy. Experts on death suggest the body attaches to pain. A gray light from the window, around the bed frame. The sheets covered like limpid paper. A body lingers, hollowed in bed. Dad, there was nothing else. What else was there to say? We were exhausted. 2. Your smell, maple syrup into urine. Your room, chemicals from a bottle, from a box. We were the disgust we were ashamed of. Your body, decaying echo, abdomen swollen balloon skin, impossible to hold. 3. There are 3 types of dying breaths. Yours, shallow half-breath, body breathing itself, when the brain stops, when the heart stops, eyes barely open. It is uneven breathing, uneasy, a new concentration on our own breath to somehow write yours, as you mouth the words I learned to read. Then eyes unclosable. 4. I quiet myself in another room. The vagus nerve regulating larynx for speech. I forget how. Sound waves occupy molecules through movement, dissipating space. From where does this energy come? We resort to pointing, resigned to staring at long, chalky walls. I cannot say it anymore, and you cannot hear it. With eyes closed, the body transfigures to slipping downward to bed. Where does our energy go? 5. If we measured in hours, the hours capsular cavities, hollowed by minutes, and so on down to stillness itself, until barely anything. Division slows the brain. I think I am the gridded picture window outlining the portrait of the front yard. I am this couch I sit on, but I am surrounded by air, by house, the space between houses. Atoms emerge from inconstant quantums. Then we were barely anything at all. 6. The mind, it thinks nothing. Functions of heart, lungs, esophagus, bowels do not reach the brain. Nervous system processes in the spine. Poorly, the stomach acid circling. The solid stomach no longer finite. We are no longer eating. Reptilian brain, The body walks itself. The impression of floating, the legs move forward. Passive branches the brain in waves. A gap within the walls, and one beneath the skin. We wonder what it is like not to feel this. The body growing another layer. Tree-like spiral. We are covered in loss. Seven. Then we began. Synaptic flood, the crying looming. Not pinned to origin, it possesses us. The entire body, the brain counters. In attempt to balance, ability to weep is lost. 8. Afterwards, the ears search sensitive. Threshold lowered so even the dank whispers of the house break invasively into us. Leveled senses relearning the world. A laugh cracks the hush too loud. And those people, the visitors, how they laugh at all. Nine. Early April, and the ground unfrozen, still saturated weight of the winter. The grass still stunted and brown. There are soggy spots from where the piles of leaves rotted for months under the snow. We go outside and open our eyes after sleep. The air listened today. No one out this morning but us. I walk from stair to fractured pavement to patchy yard. I sit on the stair, the outside as I remembered, with the sky fogging to soft granular blocks. That's that one. All right. I hope everyone's cozy. Got my wine, got my water, got my plants. And please feel free to write in the chat. Whatever you talk, respond. Emojis, I love emojis. But I can't hear you at all, so it's weird. All right, got my notes. Okay, so the next poem I'm going to read is called You Warmer Than I. We reappeared through mountains in the north, blackened with distance, blackened even still behind themselves, and obscured even further with that Toki giant air. Everything smelled rotten. Food rotten in the car, and the fields stank cow. Cow kept in its own dirt. Windows kept not open nor shut. Green rot and anger. What small patch of cloudless sky shone beaming on the ground? You, warmer than I. A river that follows us still nodded like a mocked Mississippi. Concrete hovered above the swamp in the valley, where it was decided to build this town. If needed, could we get there in time? Fear obscured even anger. There are hundreds of miles before one has to decide. Okay. This next poem is called The Longest Improvisation. Meaning had fallen off the words. I peered into the bathroom mirror through hesitant steam, wiped away to expose an expected face different. The mattress began to cup my body like a soft coffin. In the stillest moment of the morning, when eyes lay flat, even sink within the skull, and the mouth's corners stretch unilateral to touch the walls. Eye so flat, the eyes gape backwards. Limbs thrown over, the longest improvisation. We lie together, cadavers, a map. An empty dawn congeals above humidifier, hum and ire. All right. Okay, so this next poem, it's called Winter Moon, after Langston Hughes, and it's actually a golden shovel poem, which is a form that Terence Hayes, a contemporary poet, he took a Gwendolyn Brooks poem, the We poem, and took every word of that poem and ended each line of his poem with that. So, kind of informs, what you're writing. So I'm going to read the Langston Hughes poem first, and then I'll read my poem after. And hi, everybody who's tuning in. Hi, Mom. Hi, Gabby. Hey, everybody. I think Asher is listening. Thanks for tuning in. It really means a lot. All right. Winter Moon. How thin and sharp is the moon tonight? How thin and sharp and ghostly white is the slimmed curved crook of the moon tonight? Now this is my poem. 1. I use a lot of numbers, sorry. 1. The air outside, how does it sip so thin into the parchment lawns? Winter, and we are fighting again. Sharply, the chill reaches empty, where no green is left in the garden. We are sitting inside. The hot air blows our eyes dry. Moon never bothered to show up tonight. 2. I often wonder how sadness transfers through that thin membrane to the unborn child, and if he could feel how sharp it felt just from inside me. And what is his first memory? I, ghostly, hunched on the bed, sheets white. 3. But don't we know that this is winter? This marks the cycle of years, budding yet slim, ice hardening and curved around whatever crooked railing on the back porch of our home. This moment, the only time I remember the moon's delicate hum in the orange tonight. I'm going to read his poem again after, so just so you can hear it again. How thin and sharp is the moon tonight? How thin and sharp and ghostly white is the slim curved crook of the moon tonight? And shout out to Wendy who's watching, who we did this activity together. So that was really fun. All right. How's everybody doing? Oh. Gotta put my chopstick on. Okay. All right, let's see. About 15 minutes. I'm going to read one of my favorite poems by Anne Carson. You know this book. It's a very nice book. Anne Carson is great. She's one of my favorite poets. This poem is called Lines. While talking to my mother, I neaten things. Spines of books by the phone, paper clips in a china dish, fragments of eraser that dot the desk. She speaks longingly of death. I begin tilting all the paper clips in the other direction. Out the window, snow is falling straight down in lines. To my mother, love of my life, I describe what I had for brunch. The lines are falling faster now. Fate has put little weights on the ends to speed us up. I want to tell her, sign of God's pity. She won't keep me, she says. She won't run up my bill. Miracles slip past us. The paper clips are immortally aligned. God's pity. How long will it feel like burning? Said the child, trying to be kind. Okay. That was Ann Carson again. Okay, what do I want to do next? All right. I guess I'm going to read another poem by, it's just a very short poem by a poet that I really love, Fernando Pessoa. He's a Portuguese poet. And this poem I just was looking up when it was written, and it is coming up on its 90th anniversary. And it's July 8th, 1930 is when this poem was written. So it is called What We Feel, Not What Is Felt. What we feel, not what is felt, is what we have. Winter naturally straightens. Like fate, we accept it. May winter wrap earth and not our minds. As love to love, or book to book, we relish our brief warm fire. Okay. So the next couple of poems that I have are about, I recently started writing more about my experience becoming a mother and being pregnant and being a mother. And I wanted to, where are my notes? Oh, no, they're over there. Oh, here they are. So I did want to mention that a plug. I am on the board of a group called Chicago Volunteer Doulas, which basically provides birth support to additional birth support to women who and parenting, birthing parents that don't have the resources to provide additional birth support outside maybe themselves or a partner. And it's a pretty grim statistic that Black women are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth or postpartum complications. So the work that Chicago Volunteer Doulas is really important because there's proven improvements to that statistic when birth support like doulas is present. So I would like to say I'm probably going to donate. I will donate a portion of whatever the donations that are made tonight that I receive to that group. So they're pretty sweet. You should check them out. Chicago Volunteer Doulas. Okay, so this poem is called Abrupt Bodies. Abrupt Body 1. Around me, the city moves patiently, snow dusting a pocket of skyscrapers in the not so far away. My body does exactly what it has planned to do in this situation, what my mother, what the grandmothers have done, ancestors too, say your body is the most perfect instrument of nature. I look at my hands. They are my grandmother's. They begin to crooken, lined with 1,000 informants. I believe, but I am scared to lose me into this parasite, to radiate inescapable warmth, to give myself to one I do not think I know, one who grows silent. When is it that the brick, once symbiotic with the ivy, finally gives in? I held your name in my mouth, as it will come before you, and last beyond. I held your name inside of me. It is a secret word. I am finding the sounds. I am learning to move the tongue around it. My mouth is warm, held a circle above the tongue. In the morning, my eyelids taut linen. I walk my new body down the street. Everyone sees me, and they know what I have done. I walk this body and beg, please, can someone just be with me? Please watch me, hold my hand. I wish to be your child. Must I now learn to love this abrupt body too? I become too self-thrusting. Gravity pulls against the burgeoning, no matter which way I lie. Every snowflake closed its eyes upon landing. Abrupt body too. All squeeze and grasp when you spoke to me, and I called back. Inside falls out. I call. Through a lightning storm, tiger belly, flex, instrument of nature. I am told to reach down, pull my own self out of me. Can you hear me now, baby? I finally learned to say it. That one's for Asher. Listen. Okay. All right. About 7 minutes. Okay, this next one. This was a really fun poem to write. It was for the homeroom. Did like an exquisite corpse poetry crawl thing, which was really fun. And we got to we had to take the first line of an Ed Roberson poem from the nine Chicago poems, and then that kind of informed the poem, the first poem, and then we gave the last line to the next poet, etc., etc. But there was musicians involved, and it was really a fun event and well done. So I will read this to you now. The ants are licking open the peonies. 1. Blushy clump to take my breath every spring. We, the peonies, and every spring the nectar of benign neglect stored within our swollen bodies, like children, developing deeper, early, and red. Mother, woman, one who's loved many, and thousands are licking. I did not ask to be opened. The ground receives the rain lying down. Luckily, they say, we grow through regret. We grow, though regret may live longer. 2. Here are choices. Ground in the fall, to avoid. Inhabit every corner of the earth. Shed wings and start anew. Excrete that sweet liquid. Do not respond. Swallow. Smother. We, the open peonies, are delicacies. And hardy. Spring, the time of the thaw, that magnificent reaching outward from the ovaries. Germination fears not the cold of winter, yet spring, though perhaps. 3. Every spring, my anger is used against me. Dusted with droplets, and they, ready or not, lick this blossom to bloom. I am not, even resist disturbance, even relish, double with large crimson, and hungry sentinels, alive after rest, return. Seek that sweet honeydew hidden the garden. Take aphid, as they, no longer frozen, begin to fade. All right. So, I have one last one to read, and I realize that there's like a slight lag in the stream, so I'm sorry, Ayana, for going a little over, but I'm going to. Ayana Woods is next. She's incredible. She's a friend of mine, and I adore her. Her music is incredible. She's hilarious, and she just keeps getting better and better all the time. Because I'm not sure. So the last poem I'm going to read is a poem about my grandmother, who actually passed away last month at the age of 101. So I wanted to show you guys some pictures of her real quick. It's my grandma. That's her in the snow. She loves snow. She's an amazing woman. And I wrote this. Thanks, Ayana. I wrote this some years ago when she was still alive and well. And I'm really glad that I was able to capture her in her real self before she kind of declines in the last few years, and it was very sad. She passed away. So this poem is called Bedford and South First, which is where she used to live in New York. 1. Altagracia, Senora, Mama, Grandma Tata. The matriarch sits slouched at the table, watches the cooking channel, her chin in hand, and her back a mountain from years of this posture. She serves us, but never sits when we eat rice and beans, and lettuce so crispy and light, drizzled with olive oil. But now that we are finished, she is resting in front of the TV. She of few words points to the onions sizzling in the TV pan. Her skin is black walnut, thick like hide, but softest touch. She holds my hand like the child I am even now, and says, Yo te bendigo. Dios te bendiga. I don't think I believe in God, but her prayers swaddle me. Every night she prays the rosary, we her livelihood, she the pious. A crooked dark finger lifts over each bead for one of us. Her face a woodcut carved of the same expression, the weight of caretaking, 8 children, 25 grandchildren, 37 great-grandchildren, and now 2 great-great-grandchildren, even though since then there's been 2 more. Through this, her capacity to love grown. She rarely smiles. She is smiling at me when I arrive. She is smiling when she meets my son for the first time. Though he is dead, she is smiling at my father, her youngest son, through us. We have spent so many hours there. 2. I stood limply on the roof. This the last time I ever was at her house. When we, the cousins, were young, ran up the stone stairs, teasing the roof, the piss and graffiti interior, our parents yelling below to stay off. Today, I took in each room and soaked as much of it into my skin as I could. These things cannot be captured by photograph. Even this poem is not the vessel. I studied the yellow walls, these piles of papers and bedding, stairlights stacked to the ceiling, some porcelain figurines from one of the cousins' Sweet 16. Everything will be thrown out, my aunt told me, except the mattresses, which would make their way down to the house in the DR. There are photos on the wall cinematic in their age, airbrushed softness. One of Mama as a young woman with that same solemn brow, darkest ink for her unblemished skin. One of a man, perhaps my grandfather, though I'm not sure and I never asked. I know it wasn't true, but I couldn't help to think they meant to throw these out too. 3. The first time I remember coming to New York, I am 4 and it is hard to be there. We take the train, I caressing my Barbie, still puke in the front middle seat of my aunt's car. My eyes can't see the street below, and the December snow is more beautiful like this. I am furious, everyone says my name wrong. How could we really be family? I watch them boil water to bathe in, and I am wholly taught with objections. To this, to them, we leave our shoes on, rinse cups from the cupboard before we drink. 4. I stood quietly on the roof. We transmute to ashy silhouettes in the orange setting sun. Below Brooklyn terrain, buildings erect the new hipster Tetris. One courtyard below has a fortress-style perimeter. To what end? My auntie's always telling me to watch my purse when I go out in Williamsburg, a remnant of when we first arrived here. Things are different now. Yes, I wanted something better for my grandmother. I wanted her not to live in a home that draped precariously above her. Yes, they took their money. But for decades, why the molded, crumbling bathroom? The night rat she housed in the kitchen? The hyperbolic crack dividing drywall ceiling? You'll move in here with new floors and no holes to speak of, you piece of shit. I hope you enjoy her home. 5. Slowly, we all begin to arrive. We from Chicago, some from Cleveland, Torrington, the Bronx, and some from a few blocks away. Some of the cousins have spent all day drinking Heineken together, or that saccharine booze in styrofoam cups you can purchase on the street. Always around town listening to bachata so loud, the music dissolving ammunitions in the air. We gather in Mama's apartment. Each of us gives a kiss and asks for her blessing. I drink a beer as they're passed around. More arrive, and the room now saturated with side conversations. The television, the radio, a few squawk into their phones. Some dance and embrace the babies passed around. Our almond eyes shared, our skin a rainbow of browns. Braids, weaves, waves, curls, and hair brushed back so tight it lifted the face. This, the family. And this, the last time here together. All 5 aunties sit judiciously against the wall of the room. They take turns holding their grandchildren and grandnieces and nephews. They take turns arguing lovingly and laughing. One buzz cousin accuses, Mama should not have to move, and the rest of us are silent. Why are you taking her away from us? She imputes what we do not have the courage to. But today, the second youngest great-grandchild receives a blessing from Mama. We gather around them. Mama sprinkles bottled water on a leggy sprig of basil, flings it around at the baby, the room, at us. As she prays, we giggle drunkenly as the droplets hit 24 umber faces in April. This joy is an alternate funeral, one in which we are no longer the cared for, but hope is made by shedding. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.